What's up, guys? Welcome to the Dragon's Journey podcast, where I was joined by my guest, Steven Bennet, and we talked about remortgaging your home to then utilize that cash into property investing. Although I do have to apologize because some of the content I had to get rid of because for the first 3 episodes of this podcast, we recorded them over Zoom and the audio quality just wasn't great and a lot of bits were breaking up. So I had to get rid of quite a bit of information, but I tried to keep as much of it in as I possibly could. So I hope you still enjoy the episode. Hello guys, welcome to the first episode on my podcast, and I'm here with Steve Bennet. How's it going, mate? Glad to have you on my first episode.
Hi, great to meet you. I'm Buckley and great to be on your property podcast. I'm Steven from Obtain Property Investment.
And just wondering, could you give us a short introduction into what you do? Is property your full-time job, or is it something you're trying to transition to?
Property is something I'm sort of doing part-time at the moment. I've got a day job and I'm transitioning into property. Hopefully in the next sort of 6 months, I should be full-time in property. Basically, I'm based up in the northeast of England, and I sort of sourcing my own buy-to-lets and building my own buy-to-let portfolio. And I work with other investors who are looking to invest in the northeast and around the Durham and Newcastle, Sunderland kind of areas up in the northeast of England.
Oh, nice. Was there any motivation of getting into property? Because a lot of people have different reasons. Some pick freedom.
The thing that appeals to me for property the most is I think it's something you can sort of pass down to generations. I've got a daughter who's 10, so I'm looking to sort of build a portfolio really, and then it's obviously something that can serve me through life and sort of create a financial freedom and a way of life, a lifestyle that I would like, and then basically so I can pass it down to my daughter once in years to come, really.
No, it makes sense, because then they're free and you've essentially done everything you need to make sure that they don't have to ever worry, really, which is a great thing to pass.
Yeah, that's definitely the motivation behind it. Like I say, it's motivation for myself in my lifetime, and then obviously to pass down to my daughter and grandchildren down over the years.
Nah, it makes sense, honestly. So, what made you choose property over, would you say, trading on the stock market for you?
I'll be honest, I've started investing in property a long time ago. It was probably about 15 years ago, I think. I bought my first house. I did it all up, and I was going to sell it. I was going to just buy and sort of flip them and sort of hope to make money that way. This was in 2007, and it was sort of like the peak of the property crash.
Yeah.
So then I had an investor lined up and everything, and that fell through for one reason and another. And then I just kind of ended up living in the house and so I became my own landlord in essence, but it wasn't quite how it sort of planned out. I suppose it was a buy-to-let in some respects, but not how it should be done, really. So I made mistakes on the first one, and I've learned from that. And I've spent a lot of time investing in myself, learning through different groups and training, and spending a lot of time sort of educating myself before I moved into it the second time. And hopefully I'm just going through the process of now releasing from my main residence to try and purchase my first buy-to-let into my limited company, and then hopefully take it from there.
No, definitely. I was going to say, when you said 2000, I was like, oh, please tell me you only started buying after 2008.
No,
that would have been great.
It was right at the peak of the crash, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was great. I had an investor lined up, but to be honest, it was really bizarre. I had this guy who was going to buy the house from us. He came to view it sort of on the Friday just after I completed, and then tragically he died in a car crash on the Saturday night. So then it was just one of them crazy things. The estate agent rang us back and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you won't be able to sort of purchase the house now," but was more important for his family and sort of that respect. But and then obviously the price for us dropped, like you say, in 2007. So I ended up just living in the house, made a nice family home for my daughter in the end and stuff. But
are you thinking? So I'm guessing, did you end up having 2 then after that happened?
No, I just had me one daughter. I've got one daughter. Yeah.
No, I mean the house. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
I was still living with my parents at the time, so it
Okay,
was
got
like
you.
I bought my first house and then was just going to flip it, and while I was still at them. But then obviously I ended up having my partner and we got together and ended up living together and having a child. So we kind of ended up moving into the house.
Got you. That makes sense. So, like, what strategy are you mainly looking to implement with property
Yeah.
business? Like, what strategies are you looking towards?
My main strategy I'm looking towards is buy, refurbish, and refinance, which is basically buy it up, do it up, keep it, and then rent it out to tenants into the next one.
Okay, so the BRR strategies, yeah.
Yeah, BRR strategy. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was just wondering, like, how would you say is the best way to get into that strategy for like people? Well, they've been living in their own house for a long period of time, but they
Yeah.
haven't saved up the full amount for like a refurb and everything. So what would you say? Would you say
The way
just
I
refinance the house that they're in, or
Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, at the moment I've just got going through the whole process. It's nearly completed in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, it should release the fund. It's quite a good process, really. It's basically you take the value of your house, and most lenders will lend you 85% of that. So if you say you think you take about the value of your property and you times it by 0.85, that'll give you roughly what the lenders will lend. And then you just minus any existing mortgage you've got off that amount. So, for example, I've got a quick example. If you say you had a house was worth £250,000,
yeah,
you would be the most lenders would allow you to lend you sort of 212,500.
got you.
And then if you had say 100,000 left on your mortgage, you would take that off, so you would end up with 112,500, which is how I'm basically doing the releasing the equity from mine. And then that will give us enough money to sort of start my own portfolio of buy-to-lets.
Yeah, no, definitely. Honestly, I think it's a great strategy, and like people that might think, oh, I haven't got hundreds of thousands just sitting in the bank.
Yeah,
You actually do
you
in the
actually are. Yeah,
property. Yeah.
you're sleeping on your money every night. It's
Yeah.
like it's literally just sort of under your mattress, and you kind of people don't realise how much money they've got in the house, especially if you've been in the house for a long time and it's had a chance to appreciate and value and sort of increase from where you originally mortgaged to that. And obviously, if you're paying down your mortgage with the repayments, that's going down every month slightly. So over time, if you've been in your house for maybe 5 to 10 years or more, you're probably sitting on a lot more money than you think.
Yeah, 100%. And like with the whole process, because I know a lot of people online are always saying, "Oh, just remortgage your house, take that
Yeah.
money, and go straight into buying." But like the truth is, that whole process itself takes quite a bit of time, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I think it's somewhere between about 6 and 8 weeks to get your remortgaging done. And that obviously depends if you've got everything in place. So they need to see quite a bit of information. You've got to obviously prove your identity. It's a bit like buying a house again, I would say, except you're just buying your own house sort of for a high value, and then you're getting the difference back from what you paid for it and what the revaluation is at the new house. It's you need quite a bit of information. It's obviously like personal ID, such as your passport or driver's license, and then they like to see your affordability. So they need to see sort of 3 months, like your last 3 months pay slips, and kind of basically they check your accounts and make sure that you can afford it with your sort of your monthly outgoings and checked against sort of your income,
Got you.
and the new amount for the mortgage at the high amount.
Got you. No, it totally makes sense because they got to make sure that you can still afford to pay back
Yeah,
what
they
you're
need to make
taking
sure
out.
that you sort of your day job or your income for that you've got enough to support the higher payments.
Yeah.
But once you do, mostly it hasn't really gone up that much. It's only maybe goes up like a few £100, depending how much you bring it up. Maybe it's 200 or 300, depending how much equity you sort of releasing from your house. So it can be quite, especially once you get your buy-to-lets up and running, you tend to find you actually more than cover the amount that you took out, the extra amount that you're paying on your home mortgage, more than covered by the buy-to-let, and you usually end up with quite a bit of profit afterwards as well once you've got a few.
Yeah. No, definitely. Because, oh man, honestly, I know you said before about like how you did the refurb. You did this house. You did the refurb on it. So
Yes,
it does make sense that you would go to the BRR strategy straight away. But would you ever consider doing flips first, or
To be honest, yeah, I did kind of. I would consider flips if the right amount of money, if it stacked up better as a flip than a BRR, or if it
yeah,
was in a maybe it wasn't in the best sort of rental locations, I would then maybe consider just flipping the property. But hopefully, I would hope to invest in where there's good commuter routes and sort of easy access into the cities, or good access to the local motorways would be sort of the prime areas that I'm looking for. So hopefully, it should attract like the right people to want to rent from you and build a
yeah.
home with you.
No, yeah, it makes sense because I think for me, because I'm also starting out, and the main thing for me is just the whole refurb aspect. So you've
All
already
right,
got
well,
that experience, so it must
yeah.
be great knowing that, you know what, I know what this will cost. Are you still as knowledgeable on refurbs, would you say, now as back then, or would you say things have changed
Uh,
quite a lot?
yes, I'm pretty. I must admit, I'm quite a keen sort of into DIY myself anyway. So
Yeah,
I spent sort of like my last week's holiday before they came out to value my house, sort of doing up the house, painting the outside, and doing different bits and fixing the fence and stuff like that. So I'm quite
yeah,
into me DIY anyway. And a lot of my family were sort of in the building trade anyway, so I have them connections to fall back on for bigger jobs. And then I've got
yeah.
friends who are like sort of in the plumbing business and installing boilers and for all that kind of side. So I'm quite well connected and got a good group of people around me to take on the jobs that I maybe wouldn't, or where you need to be more qualified, like a professional plumber or electrician.
That's actually great, to be honest, because that's the one thing that's, I think, I feel for me in particular, that's holding me back because I'm like, I haven't really got that many connections, so I need to go
Yeah,
network, network, and network and get
yeah.
it.
I think it's sometimes quite good because you can sometimes quite a lot of people know who other tradespeople, so you sometimes have friends and they're like, "Oh yeah, my brother's like a joiner or something like that." So it's a good way of you just once you start talking, even all your friends, you'll quite often find they have like know people, or they'll say, "Oh, I've just had my kitchen fitted by this guy and he was great," or
Yeah. Oh, so it's a lot of word of mouth, really, essentially.
yeah, sometimes, yeah, especially if you know people who've just recently had work done, like say a new kitchen or bathroom, or maybe just had their electrics rewired.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense, to be honest. So yeah, it seems like you're like fully ready to go with this.
Yeah,
No.
like I say, in the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping the finance should be released from your home, and then it's a case of just finding the property and making sure it's in the right area, and then I can't wait really to get started with the sort of the refurb and get everything planned for that, and then hopefully find some happy tenants to live in a like brand new house. Really, that's just being refurbed to a good standard.
No, it makes sense. So are you thinking of doing just constantly recycling the cash from
Yes,
each,
pretty much.
or
I think at the moment you have to leave some cash in. I don't think at the moment it's quite
yeah,
possible though, unless you
yeah,
get very lucky to get like all your cash back out like you used to be able to a few years ago. But I'm quite happy just leaving, like maybe 10 grand in a deal and then sort of recycling the cash again and going again and getting another property.
yeah, definitely. I was just wondering if there's be a point where you'd be like, maybe get 3 or 4 and then you change strategies to see something. But yeah, it's good to know that you.
Yeah,
Oh, would
yeah,
you?
definitely. Yeah, I'm quite honest. To be honest, I'm quite into. I want to go do maybe 4 or 5 sort of buy to let, buy refurbished, refinance, and buy to let them. That's me to do that over maybe the next like year, 18 months to have sort of 4 or 5 of them done. And then after that, I might maybe consider something else, maybe like a bigger project like a HMO
Yeah,
or something like that. That might be sort of me next sort of step. Or
no, no, it definitely makes sense because I think for my strategies, I'm just looking mainly for assisted sales,
all right, yeah,
flips, and service accommodation. To be honest, like
oh
those are the
excellent, yeah,
strategies I'm just trying to stay laser focusing, trying to network with people already doing those things, just to make sure I've got all the knowledge and all the people I could ask a question in case
yeah,
something random just pops up that I
yeah. I'm
even
always
haven't.
happy to help.
But so, like, what else are you interested in doing apart from property? Then, like, what do you do?
Yeah, personal wise, I spend a lot of time with my daughter. Takes up quite a bit of my time. We enjoy going swimming together, and occasionally I like to go to the gym and bike riding. They're my main kind of hobbies, and walking. I've got a dog as well who loves. Well, I would say he loves walking, but he's really a weird dog. He doesn't like walking so much. He likes walking a little bit, but not too far. Because so he's. But yeah, how about yourself? Do you have hobbies outside of
Yeah.
property, or?
Oh yeah, like I love doing a lot of sports, to be honest, mainly badminton. I'm currently in the
Excellent.
like mini tournament with some of the staff members at the uni that I work at. So like
Excellent.
hoping to win that, but it's very difficult at the moment because they're all athletes. So it's like
All right.
not the easiest games to pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love that, to be honest. But right now I'm just trying to really focus on growing the brand, and just that's why I'm doing this podcast, really, just to share the real side to it. I'll say,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
none of the fluff, and just what really takes. Like you said before, when you're trying to refinance your own house, it does take time, because I feel like some people might think, oh, you know, I've got the house, so I can just pull out the money whenever I need to. And it's like, yeah, you
Yeah,
can, but it's still gonna take you.
yeah. It still takes you a couple of months to do it. It's not as quick as I first thought. I thought, oh, it might be like just applying for a loan or something like that. And, you could
Yeah.
get it in a couple of days, but it doesn't quite work like that. There's a lot more. I think it's got to be obviously checked by solicitors as well, and the deal's got to be made sure everything. Obviously, you own the house in the first place, and then they check. Obviously, like I say, affordability, where they're making sure you can afford the repayments, and then you can carry on, and you're in a good enough place to basically lend to and to repay the loan.
Yeah, 100%. And you don't want to be basically going viewing deals, finding one, and then being
And
like,
then not
oh,
having the money.
I'm waiting for a refinance.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly the point. I wanted to get my money in place, and then hopefully, like I say, I think it should be the next 2 or 3 weeks. The money should be sort of in my account, and then obviously I can really step up where I can
Yeah.
start putting in bids for places, safe in the knowledge that I've got the money ready to, to pay for them.
Yeah. So would you ever think, because I know you said you're up north, so the houses there tend to be cheaper than like Midland.
Yeah,
So would you ever go auction? Just wondering. Or would you just
I'm a bit mixed on auctions. I've heard mixed things about it, and my experience is people tend to find them better for the seller, because it's once it's an auction, you kind of locked in and you have to buy it. Whereas
yeah.
if you can't raise the mortgage or the money for some reason, then it can be quite risky to buy at auctions.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you often get people where you get into a bidding war in auctions, and sometimes the price is maybe a bit higher than you would have wanted to pay. So I tend to do a lot of my research sort of marketing offline to try and like attract like houses offline, to try and find people selling the houses and help with their problems. If they've maybe got cash flow problems, or they may want to move abroad or move somewhere and they need to move quickly, then I feel that's where a strong point where I could help people and step in and offer with some certainty that I would be buying the house, as opposed to maybe someone who's just looking and then they've got to go through the whole mortgage application process. So I do find you can help people in while you're looking for properties, because sometimes people maybe have a house that needs a bit of repair and they maybe wouldn't get the best price for it, like at an estate agent or something like that. So
no, it makes okay, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. So would you ever also do assisted sales then?
yes, yeah,
Alongside.
I would definitely consider an assisted sale where you're kind of helping the vendor and maybe you help them move out sooner, and then you could take the house and do it up and then sell it and split the profit. That's something I would probably consider if there was.
Yeah, 100%, because that's all I'm on the lookout mainly for at
Yeah,
the moment, to be honest. Because I think if you haven't got the cash for purchasing, but you've got the cash for the refurb, I think it's another
yes,
great strategy for people as well. Like for people at home who might have, like we said, a property and they might not have the amount in the bank.
yes.
If they can't pull out as much as they thought they could from a remortgage, maybe they could go down that route as well.
Yeah, I think in assisted sale you've got the best of both worlds, because then you don't need the money to actually buy the house, so you're saving on the sort of 20% deposit you would need for, like, when you're buying a property for like a commercial purposes, you usually need 25% deposit down, whereas you don't need that with an assisted sale. Then you haven't got your solicitors and your mortgage brokers fees so much. You kind of can, as long as you can get the right paperwork and the correct agreement with the tenant, and let the tenant can move out and maybe, move into the rented accommodation or the new house or wherever they're moving. It then leaves you time to sort of refurbish the property where you're not paying any sort of mortgage or anything like that, and you can it sort of leaves you in a good position where you're just basically paying for the refurb and not much else. And then once the property sells, you sort of split the money with the previous owner.
Yeah. Nah, 100%, because it's a complete win-win. It's like those TV shows where they go on into a house, fix it up, and then leave.
Yeah, it
Like,
is,
essentially. And both parties win, really, which is the
It
great
is,
side
yeah.
to it.
It can be often, like you say, sometimes you have people who own a house, but they maybe don't have the money to refurbish it, where if you can step in and help them with the refurbishment, and then they obviously get a better price for it when it comes to sell, and you get your sort of money where you're not putting the money down. So it's quite a cheaper way to get into property, I would say, if you can find any assisted sales.
Yeah, 100%. So, guys, if you feel like you don't have any money sat in the bank to get into property, but you've got a house that you own, just look around you. That house most likely has gained in capital appreciation, to be honest. And you could use some of that money to start wherever you are, to be honest. You don't have to have the hundreds of thousands already sitting there. There are other creative ways you can get involved. And just don't hold yourself back.
Yes, definitely. That's the same with me. I find the whole process, and I think for years I quite sat and I thought, I don't quite have the money to do it. But then when you start looking at it a different way and how it can help you as opposed to just paying the mortgage every month, you kind of feel like there's other options open up to you that you maybe didn't have before, didn't think about it.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, when you get your first BRR, we definitely got to have you back on to see what the
Definitely.
transformation. I always
I'll be
like seeing the
documenting the
videos
process.
of like
Yeah,
before
definitely.
and after. They always look so good because it just shows you like how creative different developers are as well. I feel because everyone has their own personal touch.
They do, don't they? They all have the stuff. I'll have to work on that finger click thing where they do it on like Instagram, where they show like the house terrible, and then they click the finger, don't they? And it's like all the macaroni done. I'm not sure about quite that clever, but I'll have to work out maybe how to do that on Instagram, and then send you a link to the show.
To be honest, those videos take a lot of patience because they literally have to do it. Like, how long's a refurb? Like 10 to 12 weeks. So they'll do it and then just wait that long period of time to just do it.
Isn't it? I think the worst bit would be if you didn't take any before pictures and then you'd be like, oh, I've only got the refurb.
Yeah, that's the worst. But nowadays we have to do that though to grow the brand on social media.
You do definitely. You have to be showing how you work through the whole process and explain what you're doing, and just like you say, just to show people that you genuinely put the effort in and to make the house as nice as you could.
Nah, definitely. And guys, if you want to follow Steven, I'll leave all of his details down below. Is there any other ways they can contact you at all?
It's Steven at obtainpropertyinvestment.com. That's my email. So if you want to message me through there, then I'm happy to chat with other people who are interested in investing.
Nah, definitely. And yeah, guys, thanks again for listening. And that's been the end of the first episode. Don't worry, I will get better at this over time.
I'm sure you will. I was doing a great job. I enjoyed the interview. It's all been good. So it was good to learn the experience for both of us. And I'm happy to come on once I've got my property and sort of done the refurb and share a bit more with Journey with you.
Nah, definitely. It'll be really nice to see it as well, just to see the process, especially for a newbie like myself.
Yeah, same here. I'm going to have to learn out how you do the clever